When you are nearing the end of your pregnancy, it's normal to want to know when you're going to go into labor. And while sometimes labor can start unexpectedly, many times your body will give you clues that labor is going to begin soon. So today we will talk about early signs of labor. By the way, my name is Diana. I'm a physician assistant with over 12 years of women's health and gynecology experience. I'm a mom of 4, and on this channel, we talk about women's health, pregnancy, and also being a mommy. So subscribe, and also let me know in the comments section if you were pregnant now, and if so, how far along you are. Chances are you're likely further along in your pregnancy. And if you're wondering what the soft signs of labor are, soft signs are the early signs of labor. They don't mean that you have to call your OB or run to the hospital right away. They're things that you take note of, mention to your OB on your next appointment. In other words, soft signs are your body's way of saying, hey, things are changing, time to get ready. They're subtle, kind of like your body's warm up before the main event. They're not the big, obvious signs like strong regular contractions or your water breaking. Instead, they're smaller, gentler shifts that tell you your hormones are changing, your cervix is ripening, and your baby's getting ready for their grand entrance. So let's go through the soft signs one by one. So number 1, lightening. So in the 3rd trimester, as your uterus is getting bigger, it really starts to put pressure up into your diaphragm, your ribs, and your lungs. And that pressure makes us get winded easily, it gives us heartburn, and also those baby kicks right into the ribs. If you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. But one morning you might wake up and suddenly you can take a full breath and the baby's not doing kickboxing on your lower ribs anymore, which feels great. But the flip side is now you feel a lot more pressure in your pelvis and your hips. And now your baby is using your bladder as a punching bag. So what has happened is your baby has dropped into your pelvis. They are settling into position for birth. And when this happens, you may actually feel lighter, which is probably where the name lightening comes from. Now, if this is your first baby, this could happen a few weeks before labor starts. But if this is your second or later pregnancy, it might happen closer to the big day or even when you are in active labor. Number 2, increased discharge or mucus plug. When you become pregnant, your body makes a thick mucus that kind of covers the cervix, acting as a barrier to prevent bacteria from getting up into your uterus. But as you get closer to baby time, your cervix starts to soften and open, and your body starts making more discharge in general. So you might notice more discharge coming out, or you may even see a glob of discharge all at once. It might look clear and thick or even a little pinkish. This is a good sign. It means your cervix is changing, but it doesn't mean that labor will start tonight. Sometimes it's days or weeks away. By the way, if you're starting to feel nervous about birth and everything that comes along with it, I know exactly how you feel. I've been there, and that's why a prenatal and birth prep course is so important to help you to prepare. So instead of going into birth feeling anxious and scared, you'll feel confident and calm. And I've actually spent almost a year creating a birth prep course for that very reason. This is a 10-module course that I built especially for you, my In the Pink community, to give you a way to become completely prepared for everything that labor and birth can bring. It's the most comprehensive course you can find. So I will link to this course called Own My Birth in the video description. Click on the link, go check that out, and I hope to see you on the inside. All right, moving on to number 3, which is something called bloody show. So when you become pregnant, your uterus and cervix get more blood flowing to it to support the growing babies. But as your cervix softens and open up to prepare for labor, sometimes small blood vessels might rupture and you could see very light spotting or just blood-tinged discharge. This is called bloody show, and it's a good sign that the cervix is preparing for labor. Now, that being said, any kind of heavy bleeding is not normal and needs urgent evaluation. You may also notice more practice contractions called Braxton Hicks contractions. These are those random tightening sensation that makes your belly feel really, really hard. They can last for about 30 seconds or so, and they usually don't hurt. They're just there. They're called practice contractions, and they're your uterus getting stronger for labor. You'll know they're not true labor contractions because they don't come closer together or get more intense over time. They usually stop if you rest, get a drink of water, or if you change positions. Now, you might also notice some other symptoms that are a little bit more vague, but still worth noting. First of all, cramps or backaches. Some people describe it as period cramps or dull, heavy aches in the back. It might come and go or feel worse at night. That's just your uterus practicing getting blood flow going and toning those muscles. You might notice pelvic pressure or sharp pains. So when your baby moves into the lower pelvis, it puts pressure on nerves and ligaments, and you might feel sharp zaps. This is called lightning crotch. You might also notice heaviness or like you are carrying a bowling ball in between your legs. That's totally normal, and it's a sign that your baby's head is engaging deep into the pelvis. You may notice nesting or a burst of energy. So some women suddenly find themselves deep cleaning the baseboards or reorganizing the baby's dresser at 2 a.m. It's a wave of motivation before labor, a hormonal mix of adrenaline and oxytocin. It doesn't mean that labor is starting right now, but it often happens the last few days. But a lot of women do experience that earlier in their pregnancy. I also think it's definitely worth noting that some women feel the opposite. Instead of having a burst of energy, they feel no energy, and that's normal too. That can also be a sign that your body is getting ready for labor. So either can happen, a burst of energy or no energy. Now, how accurate are these signs? So here's the thing. Everybody is different. Some people get every single sign and still go another week or two before labor. Others skip them completely and go straight into contractions. So don't think of soft signs as a countdown clock. They're more like a heads up that your body is shifting gears. Now, you might notice the mucus plug on Monday, Braxton Hicks on Wednesdays, and still not deliver until next week. That's totally normal. When you start to notice these signs, here's what you do. First off, stay calm. They mean that your body is doing its job. Time your contractions only if they're getting regular and stronger. Make sure that you rest, hydrate, and eat well because labor takes energy. And if you're before 37 weeks, or if you notice leaking fluids, heavy bleeding, or decreased baby movement, call your medical provider right away. Otherwise, pack your hospital bags, review your birth preferences, and let your body do its thing. So here's the bottom line. Soft signs are your body's warm-up act. They don't tell you exactly when the main event starts, but they do mean that your body's getting close. And now in an upcoming video, I will be talking about the hard signs of labor, meaning how to know when it's time to go to the hospital. So be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified of when that video comes out. But in the meantime, take a deep breath, trust yourself, and then remember that you are already doing one of the most incredible things that a human body can do. If you want to know more about preparing for when the baby comes, I have made a video all about that. I'm going to link to that right here. Click on that video, and I will see you over there.